Today is the 15th day of the semester in Political Science 1500, American 20th Century Political History. Today we're going to devote ourselves to a discussion of the harvest of shame. Now those of you in the home study audience, I will try to bring you in online with a Blackboard Collaborate session. Now as we go through this, I want you to notice one of the first women that we meet. It's Aileen, and Aileen is 29 years old, has 14 children, and you saw the documentary. She picked beans all day, and for those poor quality beans she only earned $1, and it cost $2 to feed her family that day. You also met, as the interviewer, Mr. Wershba, interviewed Jerome, who was watching his 3 younger sisters. It gives a dramatic and truthful portrayal of what happened. And then you see later, just a few minutes later, the migrant mission people coming to take care of the children of the migrant workers who were too small to be out in the field themselves, and providing them lunch. Although lunch was merely 1 cracker, 1 saltine, and half a pint of milk. Sort of a sad fare for young children like that. Then we went to New Jersey, where we met Laura and her teacher among the other children. Mr. Murrow pointed out that at this time illiteracy was very common among the migrants, and that only 1 in 500 children would be likely to complete 8th grade because they were traveling and they were in poor circumstances. And only 1 in 5,000 was likely to get a high school diploma. And, as Murrow pointed out, there was no record of any migrant child having earned a college degree. We also saw in the background, as they told the stories, the samples of what it was like to be in the field. Here we see this picture of men picking and taking their produce and putting it on the line so it can be packed in trucks. There also was a moment in the film when union organizers tried to get these people organized. Well, it was very difficult to do for several reasons. First, there was not a lot of money like there was in the labor unions that represented automobile workers. The workers were always moving, so it would be difficult to organize them. And there was a certain amount of frustration on the part of the migrant workers, because they knew if they pushed for too big a price per bushel, per basket of product they picked, the growers would just hire somebody else. So they were very, very frustrated. One of the stories that got to me the most was of Mr. Woods and his family. Mr. Woods, as they identified him, was a U.S. Marine Corps veteran from World War II. Remember, this is just about 15 years after World War II. And he had been reduced to living out in the woods, under a tree, no water, no sanitary facilities, just to try to find picking work to make a go of it for his family. It was rather sad, I think, at every measure. And you saw them interview the gentleman who is president of the American Farm Bureau Association, the group that represents all the farmers. And he was quite proud of himself and the industry, that the industry provided housing for these workers. Very uncommon, he said, that they provide housing. Now granted, it's not great housing, he said, but we do provide it. And finally, among the families we saw was the Parson family, pictured here with their children. To me, this painted a very clear picture of the kind of hopelessness. Mr. Parson said they hoped someday to save enough money to settle down so the kids could go to one school and go to one church, although he thought that was unlikely. Unlikely indeed. And now we're going to have a discussion, and I look forward to your contribution, and I look forward to reading your essays, your reaction to the harvest of shame.